Hello, amazing business owners. I have a crazy special treat for you today. Kind of maybe jumping up and down in my chair a little bit. Can't do that too much because of the noise. I don't want it to be annoying, but I am so excited for today's guest. Years ago, before I really knew how to run a business, I had decided to start going outside of the photography industry to really learn more about the business side of things. And Ash Ambirge was one of the business coaches that I found. I have followed her for years. I am a student of her courses. And when she emailed about publishing her book, I asked if she would pretty please with sugar on top be on my podcast. I figured it was a long shot. The answer would likely be no, but it can't hurt to ask, right? And shocking, seriously, I was possibly jumping up and down a little bit. She said yes. So today's episode is a very special episode from one of my most favorite business coaches in the world, Ash Ambirge of the Middle Finger Project. Her new book of the same name is out now. So go to your favorite bookstore, Amazon, or whatever and grab it. I pre-ordered 2 copies, one for myself, one for my best friend, and I have already read it once, and I can't wait for the audiobook. I have a feeling it will be one of the few books that I keep downloaded on my phone to play constantly. In this episode, Ash and I dive into imposter syndrome, believing that yes, you actually can do this, the bitch that is perfectionism, guilt, and money. Yes, we talked about all those things, and I can't wait for you to hear it. As always, if you love this episode, can you head on over to iTunes and leave a review? I would so appreciate it. And if you have a loved one that is struggling with any of these things and you're like, oh my gosh, Brooke, my friend, my mom, my sister, cousin, or whoever needs this, send it on over to them. Sharing is caring, and let's help them out together. I do have one more quick note. Ash's brand is built on crazy, straightforward advice that does not have any fluff. That being said, there are a few swear words in this episode, so if that bothers you, this may not be the episode for you. Click on over to the next one and keep listening, but if you're okay with a few F-bombs, let's talk with Ash and dive into her amazing insight and advice. Hey there, awesome people. I am Brooke Summer, and you are listening to Business Straight Up, the podcast for creative entrepreneurs to learn, connect, grow, and build the business and life that they dream of. Welcome, let's get going and dive right in. Hello, amazing business owners. I cannot even tell you how excited I am to go into everything that I have listed with today's guest. Oh my gosh. Ash Ambirge is my guest on the podcast today, and I am ridiculously excited. Welcome, Ash.
What's up, everybody? Hi. Good morning.
So I'm going to age myself a little bit here and just say that I actually started getting your newsletter. I did a little bit of email research in 2014. I bought Brandgasm, which I still reference. I know it's not your thing anymore, but I still reference it in 2014.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. It's been a bit evergreen for you.
Oh man, it's amazing. And then I was a part of the course Unfuckwithable in 2017.
Hell yeah, girl. Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
I'm so excited. I don't even know if I can say that on the podcast, but hey, we're going to go for it here. So when I got an email, we'll figure it out. So when I got an email about your upcoming book a few months ago, I was like, oh, hell yes. And I am so beyond honored to have you here today. And I have read your book, even though it is coming out February 11th. So by the time you guys hear this, it will actually be out and you should run and get it. And I was highlighting in my Kindle like a madwoman, color-coded and all, because I'm that girl. And I have 92 highlights total in the book.
That's amazing. And also like the color coding thing. Teach me your ways, Brooke. Teach me your ways. I know nothing.
It's on the iPad. So I like some things are pink, some things are yellow. The pink things are things I need to hear like every single day, minor things.
Oh my gosh. I love you.
So I know a little more about your story, but for anyone that hasn't had a chance to read the book yet, Can you tell us a little more about who you are and your journey and what brought you to your current status as the soon to be, because I'm sure it's coming, best-selling author?
Oh man, thank you so very much. Yes, it's true. The rumors are true. I have a book coming out called The Middle Finger Project with Penguin Random House that is based on the same name as my company, which is also The Middle Finger Project. It's a place for anyone who really wants to do something different with their lives and their work in particular, but they don't know what that thing is. They're struggling with imposter syndrome. Well, who am I to do this other thing? Maybe they're getting dream zapped by their loved ones who are saying, like, you should just be grateful.
Oh, yes.
Right? Like, you've got a roof over your head, and still they've got this gnawing feeling of anarchy inside of them that is saying, this is not right yet. So that's what my company does for a living. We're coming out with something really fun now called the Quit Your Job Store. And we've got fun quizzes in honor of the book called, like, should you quit your job? And all sorts of resources and tools for anyone who's taking that leap and wants to learn how to sell their talents and their skills, particularly as a freelancer, or to anyone who wants them. But that's the cool part. And the way I got here is because I was once that person who, I grew up in a trailer park in rural Pennsylvania with a mother who had social anxiety severely. We were on government assistance. She hardly left the house, couldn't work. And so I never really saw work modeled for me growing up.
Which might have been a good thing.
Well, and, in the end, it certainly was a catalyst for me. Yes. And I was just fascinated with this question of what does it mean to live a good life and do work you're proud of? And I wanted that for myself so very desperately. So I set off to the big city of Philadelphia once my mother passed away when I was 21 years old. And I decided to answer that question for myself. And that kicked on a long journey of self-discovery and also discovery about the world. And I discovered that normal ended up being the most disappointing thing that ever happened to me. And the middle class project, as it was, that I pretty much set out to start, it was a sham. And so, what do you do next? And then those are some of the questions that I answer in the book, and how to figure it out once you're kind of like, you did the thing, and now what? Is that it? Really?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that. And I have, like I said, so many highlights from the book. There's no way I can go through all of them, but really, like, before I head into the book, there's one thing that I see repeating over and over again with my students and even my boudoir clients on the photography side. So I'm just going to start with that.
Love it.
Can we talk about self-love and what really believing in yourself means? Because it doesn't just affect your work, your job, or your business. It literally affects everything in your life, from your relationships to income and more. And I believe it is one of the biggest problems that we are feeling as women right now. So what are 3 things that have changed in your life since you started radically believing in yourself that may have been surprising side effects or things you never guessed would have happened?
What a great question, Brooke. Oh, wow. I love this question. Gosh, I think, first of all, listen, I'm going to start with the one that's the least surprising, and that's money.
Mm-hmm.
I have been extremely successful from following my own voice and really trusting in that voice to guide me the right way and help me make decisions from a place of creativity and originality instead of just following the mold. And that has led to money for me. And that's important, not because I'm some, vain bitch over here who's like, money, yay! But because money is a tool and money gives us options. And I'm very, very interested in having as many options as possible. I think that that's what it means to live a life of freedom if you can decide your next hour and what you are doing with it. So definitely the first side effect of following my voice was money. The second side effect was actually leadership.
Yes. Standing for something.
Yeah. You become a leader in other people's eyes when you have the courage to stand up and say, hey, these are my ideas, which is different from standing up and saying, hey, these are the right ideas and you need to follow them.
Yes,
which is where so many people get really worried because they're like, oh, I don't want to seem like I'm being pushy or I'm pushing my ideas onto other people. this is a matter of leadership. And when you start following your voice, you have no choice but to stand up and say, hey, okay, well, here's what that voice is telling me. Here's the experiences I've had. Here's what they've meant for my life. And here's what I think they mean for the rest of us. That is a form of leadership. And what I didn't expect was to be followed. Frankly, I didn't expect that by sharing my voice and my ideas, so many people would resonate with those and want to be guided and led by me.
Yes, absolutely. That's so true.
Yeah. The third thing that would be surprising, I'm going to say how doing so has allowed me to live without the safety net that I always thought I needed. Coming from a place of poverty and not having family, and thinking when I was young that I need to do everything perfectly in order to have security and safety, because that's what I thought I had to do. And if I didn't, if I colored outside the lines, right, like who knows what would happen, danger zone, homelessness.
Right?
What I
Oh
was
my gosh.
greatly surprised by was discovering that the opposite is actually true. And by following your own voice and really staying true to that, you create an insurance policy for yourself where you begin to develop self-confidence and you start trying things and seeing that you are far more capable and competent than you ever thought you were. And one thing leads to the next. And then all of a sudden you're doing this. And all of a sudden you're buying an apartment in Philadelphia, sight unseen on the internet. And then you're getting a book deal and you're doing all these things that you never really actually thought could even happen. And all because I had the courage to stay true to that.
That is amazing. I just want to share with all the listeners that I did not send Ash these questions ahead of time. So we are just chatting and having a conversation. And I'm so in love with your answers. I feel like there are so many things that are possible beyond what we even imagine.
Yeah, girl. Yes. And I think it's so important to see other people doing it, because when we do that, we see, okay, well, they've done it. And so maybe I can too. That's what I was lacking growing up in a small town. I didn't see ambition modeled for me. And I didn't know where to find that. And that was the journey.
Yes. Someone told me once that you might be the answer to someone else's prayers.
Ooh, that's a
And
good
that
one.
hit me so hard. Like just someone seeing that, you know what, if she can do it, I can do it too, can be a huge catalyst in someone's life.
10,000%. Yes. Yes. I think that standing up and selling someone something is the most generous thing you can do. No one has ever hired anyone to be unhelpful. So the minute you stand up and say, hey, here's how I can help you, here's how much it costs, do you want my help? It's an act of kindness. You are absolutely reaching out to say, hey, I'm willing to help you. And here's how you can help me in exchange.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Amen. I feel like I should be
Amen.
standing up like in church with a big hat on. Amen.
A big
Hallelujah.
hat. Woo!
The bigger the better.
Generosity. Selling is not creepy or snaky or anything. It's like so kind of you to actually have the courage to do that for other people.
And put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For sure. Oh my gosh. Okay. If I just keep going down this road, then I'll forget everything else that I prepared.
Well, you'll have to stop me because I'm so hot on all these topics that I'll just keep going. So you just wrangle me back in.
No worries. It's all good. We could just talk about this for days. So I'm going to move into a quote that I highlighted. It was a pink one in chapter 2. And you said in your book, why can't I just be happy like everyone else? Why can't I just be normal? And then further in the chapter, you said, I have gone to great lengths to fit in with the people I perceive to be normal, not yet realizing that my greatest advantage in this world was the fact that I wasn't. This one hit me really hard, highlighted pink, like I said. And I have spent the last year really digging into some overall blocks, and especially money blocks when it comes to guilt. And I am so blessed with healthy kids, a beautiful home, food and water, 2 dogs that I love, so many other things. And yet I want more. I want to grow. I want to move forward and impact lives in an even more amazing way. And with that comes the lovely side effect that so many women have of guilt. Who
Mm-hmm.
am I to want more? Am I just a selfish bitch for wanting to grow beyond the amazing blessings that I already have? Why can't I be normal and just accept what I have? So, what is your advice for someone that is feeling guilt and opposition because even though she is crazy in love with her life, she still wants more?
Two things. Being grateful for what you've got is some of the world's most dangerous advice. It keeps women in this pattern of thinking that they have enough and therefore they shouldn't pursue something that they want, that their needs are being met. This happens a lot in particular with teachers because teachers have so many great benefits that come along with their work, including summers off and you get out at 3, right? You've got great benefits. So I actually work with a lot of teachers who have that same feeling of guilt, like, oh, I've got a decent job and everyone's telling me I would be crazy to leave it or want something more. And for me, this comes down to the difference between happiness and meaningfulness. And this is something that I do talk about in the book, something I researched that really sheds some light here and shows us that happiness is about getting what you want. Okay, great. So you've got the house, you've got the dogs, you've got the salary, you got a roof over your head. But meaningfulness is about getting what you want and also expressing and defining yourself while you do it. And that for me is the piece that I would suggest anyone in this position seek out, because if your work isn't bringing you that, you will forever feel a void, because we are by definition creative beings. And that's where this feeling of feeling like a fraud and feeling stifled and feeling stuck comes from. Even if you have all the other things you're supposed to have, you got them. But we're missing that creative piece, that piece of originality. And so if you're looking at a couple of different ideas, you're not sure what you can do, I'd say chase that part. What allows you to express and define yourself better? It's not about being a greedy bitch. It's about self-actualization and really bringing your most generous self to the table so you can really feel what it's like to contribute in a way that matters to you. That's a very real emergency. Like, you need to be able to do that. I think that something can make sense and still make you miserable. And that's what you have to watch out for.
Yes. And that kind of feeds into something else in chapter 12, just going completely out of order here. Another thing that I had highlighted that you said in your book was, but living the kind of life that most people will never have the pleasure of living doesn't come from doing the kinds of things that most people do. Unconventional success comes from following your most dangerous ideas and doing so in grand fashion. And sometimes that means pivoting and potentially ripping apart everything that you know to really change directions into work and a life that lights you up. And we don't live in this world where you pick a career and stick with it for 50 years and retire with a pension and sit on a wraparound deck. It just doesn't happen anymore. So, what are some of the scariest changes that you faced that have changed your life in amazing ways?
I've been up and I've been down and I've been kicked and I've been tossed on the floor and I've gotten back up time and time again with a bigger knife in my hand. And I've certainly been everyone's nightmare. Like, what's the nightmare, right? Like, what's the worst thing that could ever happen to you? Okay, well, you could lose everything and have no money and nowhere to sleep and be sleeping in your car in a Kmart parking lot. Check. Done it. Been there. Best thing that ever happened to me. You could end up in an abusive relationship with a complete tool bag because you don't know who you are yet, and somehow they're fulfilling some kind of void for you. And then you could discover one day that they actually have 20 false identifications in a drawer, all with the same photograph and all with different names, and their actual name isn't their real name, and they are absolutely a con artist. Yep, check. Happened to me.
Gosh.
Done that.
Yes.
Best thing that ever happened to me. You could end up in a litigation with a business partner and trying very hard to fight for what you believe is the right thing to do. And you could spend 4 years of your life, and you could spend $1 million in legal fees, and you could fight, and be up in the middle of the night every single night with massive anxiety, unable to sleep. Check, got it, been there. My knife is bigger than ever now. Best thing that ever happened to me. I think loss and I think hardship are gifts to us to tell us to get the fuck up and do something different and change, because otherwise life is just it's too easy to not, and to just think and think and think. And that's a mistake that I think we make. We think too much about everything. We overthink it, we overanalyze and overevaluate. And the next thing you know, you're 45 years old and you have nothing to show for it. That's terrifying.
Oh, right? That should be the thing we fear the most, right?
Yeah. Like, go get yourself into some trouble. Follow those dangerous ideas and see what happens next. If you have to sink or swim, you're going to swim every time.
That's a really, really hard thing to embrace and to know.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to suck for a minute, but then it's going to be so much better afterwards. You have to be willing to do hard things.
Hard and scary and everything in between, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, it's important. It's a part of growing as a person. Never challenge yourself, never grow.
And isn't that ultimately what we want as humans, right? Is to consistently grow.
I mean, no one's walking around being like, I really need some growth today. But yeah, I mean, that's how we get the things that we want, because, gosh, none of us know what we're doing, and everything is just a guessing game. And you try something new and maybe you don't like it, but if you try something new and you do, wow, you've just learned something very important about yourself. Now you can make a new hypothesis and keep going down that road and take the next step and do the next thing and the next thing. You're not going to know what the right thing is ever until you try and see what you like and what feels right. That's the only way to ever know. You can't think your way into this.
For a chronic overthinker like myself, that's really hard to hear, but I know it's so true.
I mean, in my own experience, it's been useful, and maybe other people have had different experiences, but I wanted this to be for the people who used to be like me, who were trying very hard to do things right by everyone else, and being good, like a good girl and a people pleaser, was part of my identity, because it was the only way I thought I would survive.
Yes, I have to keep telling myself I am a recovering people pleaser. Oh my gosh. So in chapter 3, you had said, I had built my ordinary, perfect little life, not realizing that ordinary often comes at the cost of extraordinary. And later in the book, in the same chapter, it says, what if you didn't just assume that you were being overly dramatic? And what if you trusted yourself just this one time to be right? I feel like women are so often labeled as dramatic or too emotional. And this year is the first year for me that I have really stopped apologizing for being extra as fuck and just embracing it.
Yes, Brooke, yes.
As someone who feels things to the nth degree and has always been a little too much for people, their words, not mine, it can be very tempting to fall into the trap of believing the bullshit and thinking we're overreacting. What would you share with women who are hearing that little voice in their head that they're being overly dramatic or unreasonable when they're thinking of their biggest and most extraordinary goals?
I would say, listen, if you think that it makes sense to go to your accountant and ask your accountant to put highlights in your hair, then by all means, go ahead and go to your sister Sarah and ask Sister Sarah, who, she's like a product manager, for her advice on what she thinks you should do with your new photography business. I think that the two things make about the same amount of sense. No one would ever go to your accountant for a haircut.
Right.
And yet we do. We want to trust the people we love, because those are the people who are close to us. But frankly, unless they've done the thing that you want to be doing, they're not qualified to give you an educated opinion that's reliant on their own experience. Like, right, like they're lacking experience, and what they're telling you is a reflection of what they believe and not necessarily what you should actually be doing.
Yes. And their reaction then becomes that internal voice, that nagging little voice that says, maybe you can't do it. Maybe you shouldn't be doing it.
Yes. And to some degree, I hate to be a cynic, but to some degree, what ends up happening is, by telling other people about your dreams in this way, you're essentially saying to them that, hey, I want something different than what is the current. And by challenging that, you're really challenging them, because it's like, well, I don't agree with your choices because you're choosing to just live this ordinary life. And I want to do this thing, and I want to go travel, and I want to experience life, and I want to start a business, and I want to do all these cool things that they're not doing. So you're effectively insulting them on some kind of a psychological level. And I think that that's where really a lot of the criticism comes, because it's that thing where they're trying to keep you at status quo for their own mental comfort. The minute you start doing something else, then they have to also now raise the bar. People don't want to do that.
Like, it's stop. The crab bucket.
Yeah, it's like, stop. Yes. Stop shining so much. I mean, like, you're going to make me have to now reflect on some things, and I don't want to.
And that's uncomfortable.
Yeah, the crab bucket. The crab bucket is it.
It is. It's the crab bucket for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yes, totally. I love that example. Every time I see it, I'm like, yes, the crab bucket.
Right? Mm-hmm. And for anyone listening that's like, what the hell are you guys talking about? Ash, do you want to explain what the crab bucket is?
I mean, it's the thing where, like, if the crabs are in a bucket and any one of the crabs tries to get up and climb over the other crabs to get out of the crab, I mean, they pull the guy down.
Yes.
I don't know why they do that. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
It is odd. I think they figure if we're going to be dinner, then you should be too. I don't know.
I'm going to have to research more why they don't want the other crabs getting out, but it's fascinating.
It really is. And I feel like that kind of leads me into the next quote and highlight from the book in our school system and how it's set up. In the book, you said school is a 12-year-long exercise in instruction following, a hearty warm-up for the next 60 years of your life as a productive member of society. And this is another one that really hit close to home. I'm a mom of 2 kids that are 10 years apart. One that is in a very alternative and highly specialized school because we pulled him from public school and middle school.
Wow.
So what is one of the most damaging things that we learn in school that we need to throw away immediately?
Oh my God, I love you, Brooke. Like, can we just get you your talk show now? Immediately?
I'm harnessing my inner Oprah.
Wonderful. These are wonderful questions. They're so well thought out and leading to such, great discussion. Okay, so let me think about it. So the one thing that I think we shouldn't be teaching our kids.
Pulling my son from school was one of the most eye-opening experiences that I have ever had. And watching their expectations of him was insane to see.
I'm sure. There's so many things going through my mind, and I got this magnet the other day. It was really funny. It said something like, I'm so glad I learned about parallelograms.
Yes.
Instead of taxes in high school, because it really comes in handy during parallelogram season. And I was like, ha, 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 ha. So funny. I think that there's value in school in the sense of, like, look, like, we do have to organize ourselves and operate as some kind of civilized society where, like, there's some sense of order. And that's what that is. And that's what's also disturbing about it at the same time. Our school system was based on the Prussian system of training soldiers originally, where they had bells. And literally it's teaching us, a Prussian soldier at the time, what to think about, when to stop thinking it, when to start thinking about the next thing. And they literally imported that system to our schools way back when, because it's an example of inducing massive control over a population of people. So what do you get now? Now we get, okay, well, now someone has to decide what we're supposed to be learning. And that's the question for me. Well, who gets to decide what's worth knowing? And oftentimes what's worth knowing becomes simply a function of how we can then take our children and turn them into human resources for companies. So then these companies can then go ahead and produce a profit. So we become these tiny little levers, really, in a system designed to make money. And that's the problem. Who gets to decide what's worth knowing? I think that if I could change school a little bit, I would absolutely say more critical thinking, less testing. I don't want
Yes.
to teach people how to copy,
Right?
right? Like an answer, like, okay, this is the answer. Okay, well, that's the answer I'm going to say then.
Yes. Parrot things back.
Right. And I know that seems obvious. I think that's the obvious answer, but it's also the most important. Critical thinking. There's so many women who come to me every day and they actually have lost the ability to think for themselves and decide what they want and decide what they think about things.
Mm-hmm.
If I ask someone, what do you think about this? Well, what about this? How, what's your opinion? They don't know. And even if they sit there and try to think about it, they still don't know, because this is a muscle that no one's being asked to use. You're being asked to take on someone else's point of view and memorize it and then rehearse that and then regurgitate it as your own. This
Yes.
is a problem, and it's a really big problem if you're someone who wants to do something different with your life and start now, but you've never done it before. And that's why I think we all have such imposter syndrome, because it's like, well, I don't know, this wasn't on the test.
Yes. And the fact that we have to, I see it with my kids of asking permission for everything.
Ooh, yeah.
Permission to think, like you said, critical thinking, permission to form their own opinions, and that it's not only okay, but it's absolutely necessary to know what you think and why you think that way.
Yeah, there's no wrong answer here. I think that's what we're so concerned with, getting it wrong. Well, if I
Mm-hmm.
think this and nobody else thinks that, well, what does that mean? It means I'm wrong. It doesn't. I mean, it means that based on your experience, you've now formulated a different hypothesis. And that could be very, very useful. That's great.
Yes, useful and valuable. We need more of those outside the box thinkers. We need it more than ever.
Yes, in a world that's now being like completely propelled by creativity and ingenuity, and I mean, like, the internet runs on words, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Writers are some of the most
Yes.
well-poised professionals in the world right now, and nobody's even talking about it. It's nuts.
Yes. I agree completely. I think that we're setting our kids up to be employees. We're basically churning out employees instead of
Yeah.
encouraging individuality, for sure.
And most parents believe that that's kind of the safe route anyway, and that's what they should be doing. So that's what they do.
That's true. And I mean, safe is good. We all want our kids to be safe, right? But ultimately, I think happiness would be more important.
Yes, yes, true. Yes, indeed.
Happiness and just contentment and love for yourself and your life, for sure.
Yes, yes, yes. Mm.
So the in chapter 6, you wrote, "The only person advocating for you in this world is you. And sometimes it requires going out of your way to figure it out, find the answers, ask for more, speak up, connect the dots, and make it happen." So, what skill can we focus on and learn now to be a better advocate for ourselves when it's time to speak up?
Ooh, how to sell yourself. 10,000%. I think it's so important to be able to sell your idea. Whatever idea you've got, I think so many of us have them, but we don't know what to do with them. And it's a critical skill to be able to sell your idea to another person. It doesn't matter if you're an employee or if you're striking it out on your own, or if you're just trying to get enrollment for something else that you're working on, or even just talking to your kids or your family members. To take an idea that you have and learn how to sell that to another person is beyond valuable, because once you can do that, if you can sell even a talent that you have to another person, you can do anything in this world. It won't matter if your boss fires you. It won't matter if you're down to your last $5, or if you're sleeping in a Kmart parking lot or whatever. Now you've got a tool that
Yes.
no one can ever take from you. And if you learn how to sell something, a simple idea, you really have so much power in this world. You will never starve a day in your life. I love
Yes.
selling, and I love money. For women especially, these are tools that give us options.
How did you learn that?
Well, I lucked out because it was my professional career. So I
Mm-hmm.
started off in marketing and then moved into advertising sales. And I think that this is really where my background came so in handy, and I didn't realize it, but that's what I ended up helping other women figure out how to do. I was able to do that successfully and selling things for lots of money to complete strangers that I had never met. So I didn't have to lean on a personal brand. It was a complete different thing. And then once you put these other things into the mix, like your actual, knowledge and experience and your own brand and your own personality, it makes life so much easier. I mean, it's great. Being able to sell is such a phenomenal, important life skill.
Yes. And so many people feel slimy, or they feel salesy, or they feel like they're doing something shady. But the reality is that everything is sales. Your phone that's in your pocket, the coffee that you buy, somehow it was sold to you, whether you realize it or not.
Yes, indeed.
Everything is sales.
Everything is sales. Everything that you're doing. I mean, really, you ask someone if they want to go to the movies tonight, it's a sale.
Right? Right? Yeah, no, it totally is.
Yeah.
Everything that we do comes down to sales in some way, like dating. I'm going to sell this person. We're going to go out. What's my profile look like? Everything is sales. It's just a matter of what you're selling and whether you're confident in selling that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it sound skeezy when we talk about it in that way, but it's just really it's a way that you're able to take something that you have and give it to another person in an act of generosity. I mean, that's really what you're doing, but there has to be a mutual exchange of value there, because otherwise, right? Like, what are, you won't ever get anything from that, and that's not equitable. So a mutual exchange of value, that's all you're asking anyone to do. But you are being so generous by standing up and saying, hey, here's how I can help. Do you want that help? And it could be as simple as saying, like, hey, do you want a friend tonight to go to the movies?
Yes, absolutely. And that brings us down to money in sales too, right? And first of all, okay, on to chapter 17 where we discuss money.
Dun, dun, dun. I love you, Miss Organized. Look at you go.
Well, I have to organize my thoughts. Otherwise, I'll be like, and what do you think about the sun rising today? And what do you think about this? And we'll be all over the place. But
I love you. You're great.
I do have a quote here in the book that concerns me when you said that karaoke is your greatest fear. I mean, we need to talk about that. Why do you fear karaoke? It's so much fun.
That's so funny. Someone else said to me the other day, it was so funny. She was like, you said something in here I'm really worried about. I'm not a fan of this line. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And she was like, you say, and I quote, cereal is bullshit. And she's like, what the hell is that? And so you're getting me on the karaoke. Fair.
It's so funny. And the exact quote for anyone listening that has not read the book yet, Ash wrote, money freaks women out more than any other topic I know, maybe even more than God. Okay, nothing freaks people out more than God, except maybe zombies. And if you're anything like me, also karaoke, because that is definitely my greatest fear.
It is. I think I was scarred as a child because I was in the choir, and our chorus teacher, he was amazing though. I loved him. He still is one of my favorite people, but Nino Benici, if you're listening, Nino. So as a part of this, we would have to stand up and sing solos. And I was just like, oh my God. Like this is,
no.
I mean, oh my God. And what's ironic about that is I was actually selected to sing the real solos in our concerts to go in front of all of the parents. So It's not like I was terrible at it, but
there's something there. There's something there.
It gave me massive anxiety. And so I was like, I'm never fucking doing this again. And that's exactly what I've kept my promise.
Well, I guess whatever. I mean, I'm terrified of insects, and people don't understand that. So if karaoke is your thing, I guess I'll accept that. But one of these days we'll have to go and do Bohemian Rhapsody. I'll take the high, you can take the low, whatever you're comfortable with, we'll do it.
Oh my God. I literally could get up right now. If you had 20,000 people in an auditorium and you said, Ash, our speaker didn't show up, get on stage and say something, I would be just fine. I'd walk right on out and be like, hey, everybody, what's going on? Just deliver something, but ask me to sing Britney Spears one more time in front of 3 people, and I'm just like, okay, palm sweating, I can't. No, you go, not me, I can't.
Yeah. Would it be better if you had the outfit on to match the one more time?
It would be better if I had the body on, let's be honest.
Okay. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Well, the talk about money freaking people out, In the same chapter, there was a quote that says, "There's this unspoken code of conduct that comes with being a woman, it seems, which says that you are supposed to give, 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 and turn yourself into a martyr. We've been told our entire lives that being a woman is to give. So when it's our turn to take, we almost don't know how. Taking is wrong, taking is selfish." Given your background and the fact that you did not come from an affluent childhood, what lesson did you learn that inspired you to be able to really charge appropriately for your work and that it's okay to make money doing what you love?
Mm. I think I learned it. I think I learned it probably. Wait, let me think about this better, because I want to say that, of course, as a function of my job, like I was taught to sell. So it's like, okay, well, the price
Mm-hmm.
is the price is the price. I'm very used to inflation. I'm used to rate cards going up. I'm very used to standing in front of someone and saying, this is how much it costs. But that was much easier because it wasn't me and I wasn't the product. Um,
When you were brought into that job, did you already have some sort of confidence around selling in general?
I did not. I think I was very good at selling myself, though, as someone who has grown up selling herself to the world every single day. Don't be biased against me because I'm from the trailer park. Don't look down on me because I'm from the trailer park. I'm going to do everything I can so you don't see that and you see anything else you can except for that. Um, it's why I became a writer, right? Like when you look at a piece of paper, you can't tell where the writer is from. All that matters are the words, and words are just
Mm-hmm.
such a great equalizer. So I think as a function of my childhood, I was better at sales than most. And I bet that anyone listening who has gone through some hard shit, I'm sure you're nodding your head. You're like, yeah, 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 totally. I've definitely been selling myself. Um, but, I was fortunate. I think confidence comes from scaffolding, and you try something relatively safe that you think you can do, and then you prove yourself right. And I did that thing. So now you try a new thing that maybe is a little bit harder and a little bit different, and then you kind of like just scaffold your way up to being this person who believes that she really can, because now you've proven it to yourself over and over again. Um, in my first job, I was really lucky. I got a job in marketing at a company in Philadelphia, and it was a small company, and I had to choose them. It was between going to a big company with a big name and being a nobody doing something like data entry stuff, to being a big fish in this very small company and having the title of marketing assistant and getting to work on all of these projects. And what ended up happening is I chose the small company, and my boss was fantastic, and he gave me so much free reign to come up and share my ideas. He encouraged that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
hiring you not so I can tell you what to do, but so you can figure some stuff out and then tell us. And that was wonderful experience, because what ended up happening was a lot of the campaigns I put in place actually worked. And
Yes.
and then the phones were ringing off the hook. And what happens now? Well, now we need a salesperson to go out and actually meet with this client and sell them the thing. We didn't have a salesperson. And so I volunteered to do that too. So then next thing I know, I was doing both roles. And then next thing I know, they're offering me ownership in the company and a portion of all of the profits if I wanted to really step into just the sales role. And so that's what I did next. And it just kind of is this thing that I grew over time. But make no mistake, it was absolutely from having to sell yourself over and over again as a child.
Yes, definitely. How did that boss that allowed you the freedom to really try new things, has it influenced how you hire and inspire your team now as a business owner yourself?
Yes. Yes, very much. I will never forget that feeling of having someone else trust in my abilities, even when maybe he shouldn't have. I mean, I didn't know jack shit. I didn't know anything. But I was able to overcome that through personal chemistry and through eagerness and showing up as my most enthusiastic self, really genuinely happy and excited to be there and be trying. And that is that's such a tool that you can overcome a lack of knowledge or skill, because that's stuff you can learn on the job. But that's what people want. They want you to really be invested and feel excited to be showing up to work every day. So I've sold myself 1,000 times to clients just based on that alone. Hey, I don't actually know the kind of work you're in or what the industry is, but I will learn and it's going to be awesome. So let's go, kind of a thing.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
and showing that interest in someone makes them feel important and makes them feel like they matter. And what is that Maya Angelou quote of people will forget what you say and what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I live by that. But that's all a function of selling too, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Big time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I
Comes full circle.
think it does. It does. And I think about that with my team and what I'm doing and how can I better empower them instead of directing them? Because there's a big difference, right?
Yes. No, that's what I'm always constantly saying. It's like, okay, I don't want to be the
Taskmaster.
yeah, I don't want to be the gosh, what am I trying to say? Not the the bottleneck? Is that what I'm trying to say? Is that the word?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
bottleneck? Yeah. For some reason
Yep.
it sounds wrong. Like gooseneck, bottleneck, severed neck. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want
Whatever works.
the bottleneck in my own business. So I'm always constantly like, hey, I'm not going to give you tasks.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm not doing that. I mean, maybe if I have something that I do need done, I'll sign it. But listen, like as a rule, I'm not giving you tasks. What I need from you is to show up and be an expert in your field, and you tell me what you think we should do.
Yes. And
Yes,
let's collaborate and figure it out.
right. Yeah, and I think that certainly my first job and my first boss had a lot to do with that.
That's awesome. It's something that I haven't really experienced from a boss. And so that's been a challenge for me in my team. And I
Mm.
love to hear how much it can empower someone. I think that's amazing.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's talk about like the worst possible thing that has affected me and so many of my students in the last 5 years or so, perfectionism. um, which tends to clothe itself in somewhat noble clothes like hustle and dedication and commitment, like you said in your book. And I am a recovering perfectionist because we are never supposed to claim something we don't want to live every day, right? And it's
Mm.
something that I am just now starting to let go of. Elizabeth Gilbert said in Big Magic that perfectionism is just fear in fancy shoes. And it's so true. If you were to sit down for a cocktail with a good friend who was struggling with perfectionism that was keeping her trapped and stagnant, what would you tell her?
Guess what, Dorothy? Surprise, surprise. Every single time I've done something perfect, like to perfection as much as I could, the very next week, there I am again, still tinkering away, tweaking, and iterating that
Yes.
thing forward. Does not matter. Like, literally, you could think it's done. It's never going to be done when you are a person who's creating and making and trying new things in her life. So, the surprise is that there's no such thing. It really is an illusion. So, you should just start somewhere, anywhere you can. Don't even care about the beginning. Don't care about having a plan, and stop asking yourself to know what's going to happen next. Stop putting all of this pressure on yourself to make it work out. And is this going to be the right thing? You can never know the answer to that. So just start anywhere you possibly can and iterate as you go, because you're going to be iterating anyway. Nobody sees that coming. They're always trying to plan everything and plan their life and plan their next move and plan out their success. That the people that are planning are going to be planning a year from now. I promise you that. The people who just jump in and start, they're already making 100 grand a year.
I'm feeling a little personally attacked right now, but in a good way. Um, I'm the
Yeah, but
planner. I'm the planner.
no, I mean, if you're struggling and it's holding you back, because man, like,
Yes.
geez, there's so much pressure to have a plan and have it right, but you can't. You're not a mind reader. You're not an oracle. Like, there's no way you can know what's going to happen next. You can take an educated guess, but the
Sure.
value is in just trying something, getting your hands dirty, seeing what works, what you like, what you don't, switching gears, pivoting, changing,
Yes.
interacting with the world. And then I mean, like, look, like those are the people who are going to keep figuring it out while the rest of the world is still trying to plan for it.
Yes. And how much time do we waste in doing that?
I mean,
Like years and years of our lives.
It's hard for me because I am not a planner. So I will say I'm biased. I'm very messy and I'm very just kind of like, hey, I'll figure it out as I go. That of course comes with its detriments and disadvantages just the same way. But if we are talking about perfectionism, I think it's just so easy to fall into a trap of having to have like the perfect bullet list of steps and action steps, and here's this next thing, and gosh, just like ease up off yourself. That's so much pressure to be putting on yourself.
Yes.
Just relax. Just go try something. See what
Yes.
happens.
So much stress unnecessarily.
See what happens. You're going to change it anyway.
I love it. And really, like, trying new things, that's the beauty of being the boss. And you had said, you wrote in chapter 22, you can design your work around your life rather than the opposite. This is about prioritizing things that most other people don't, so you can live the kind of life that most other people can't. And yet so many of us chain ourselves to a business, which is ultimately no different than chaining ourselves to a job, right? Except we make our own hours, which usually end up being way more than the hours we would put into a job.
Oh, yeah. Yes. It's so hard.
I know that one thing that really keeps me sane is remembering the weird goals, like the ones that have nothing to do with revenue or downloads or website traffic or email lists. And there's a scene in the Great Gatsby movie with Leo DiCaprio, love, where he turns around with champagne at his party and fireworks are going off behind him as he says hello. And that is going to be my 45th birthday party. And I've already spoken it into place and it's going to happen. That is one of my goals.
I love him. Can we just like go hang out with him? Can we get him on the podcast?
Right? Oh, absolutely. For sure. What are some of your goals that are a little unconventional, or the things that you have intentionally built into your life as a business owner that keep you sane and looking forward instead of getting bogged down in the day-to-day crap that can sometimes take over?
Ooh, yeah. People are really constantly asking me these days, well, what's next? I'm like, Jesus Christ, I just published a book. Like, it's not even out yet. Like, hang on. They're always like, what's next? What are you doing next? What's the goal? What's your 5-year plan? And I'm like, whoa. Okay. So like, listen, like, I've said this before. I just am interested in creating as many options as I can for myself. So this book, now I have more options than I did yesterday. Mm-hmm. And doing anything that I do is all about options. I'm very interested in living a life that is spontaneous and extemporaneous and allows me to just decide one day that I would like to go to Sweden, and I'm going to go to fucking Sweden. I want to be able to live. I don't want to be tied down to a series of like meaningless obligations and things. So I will do anything that it takes to be able to do that. And one of those things that I have fun doing that does keep me sane is just doubling down on what I'm great at. I'm great at writing creative things. I'm great at writing fun content. I'm great at writing fun pages and taking my ideas and turning that into something that's useful for someone else. So I play with that a lot. I've got another side hustle that I've been working on that has nothing to do with anything that I actually represent with the Middle Finger Project. It's all about tourism in Costa Rica. We have a house in Costa Rica.
Nice.
Yep, it's called With Love from Costa Rica, and it's launching soon. But it's just I'm expressing myself and having fun writing this content and just having a blast using my creative writing skills to take something that I know and turn it into this thing that now exists outside of me. I get great pleasure in that. I think it's the funnest thing to do ever.
Yes.
Those things keep me sane. It's not like a profound project. I don't have to like be like putting forth my ideas as much there. It's more just like, hey, listen, like if you got a baby, don't go to these beaches, but here's where you should go. And here's like the secret bar, like kind of thing. Yeah. Have a blast. No one told me to do that. And there's no promise at the end of that rainbow either. I'm simply doing that because I just wanted to. I thought that'd be fun. I think we need to allow more time in our lives for fun. That just sounds fun.
Yes, especially I have found as a business owner, my life gets taken over by my business. I don't have any hobbies anymore. This year, I've looked at that and I'm like, well, what the hell am I going to do with myself now?
Yeah, it's really easy. And I think it's important to put a cap on the amount of money that you're making too, because otherwise, I mean, technically you could just work yourself into the ground because more. I'm not making 90 figures. I mean, just like,
Yes. Definitely.
Like,
I
hey, like
love,
this is enough.
well, and that you can use your same strength and skill in a different way that just lights you up and is a ton of fun. It is so
Yeah.
important to remember.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's all I want to be doing is writing. So I'm always looking for fun opportunities. I'm starting a whole other one around Airbnb too. Just wait. I mean, it's just like these are not things that make any sense for my actual business, like the big one, but they're just stuff I enjoy.
Yes. And ultimately, that's what matters, right?
I think so, doesn't it?
Enjoying your life. Yeah, we have one beautiful and glorious life to live.
What else
It's
are we
like this
doing? Yeah.
it's like this stupid soap opera, One Life to Live.
There it
Sorry.
is. One
Sorry,
life to
it's not
live.
stupid. Don't write me letters. It's not stupid.
I like how you're like, on that note, like we're going to wrap with one life to live.
I actually wanted to end with something that I'm pretty sure I need to tattoo on my forehead from the book in
Ooh.
chapter 25. And it's something that I actually have been working on telling my daughter. My daughter is 5 years old, and she is now getting to the point where she's starting to look at other people's opinions of her, and they're starting to matter more and more. And so this hit me hard. I want to share it here. And I also have been working on it with my daughter. And what you wrote is, nothing about you is average. You are someone who is built to rally. You're a thunderbolt girl. You were built to be unforgettable. You were built to create, to make, to experiment, to lead. You were built to be big. You were built to own rooms and capture minds and dismantle boring and be the kind of woman who is not afraid to show up as her best and brightest self. You cannot help it. It is who you are, and you can do this. And I'm going to give you a second while I fight back a few tears to just say anything.
Aww.
Oh,
Thank you, Brooke. Gosh, someone else said to me earlier today, she said, I'm gonna give this to my daughter. Like, I want you to know that. And like that thought really, hit me across the face because she was like, "This is the voice of a generation. This is the voice of like my generation." She's also in this space too. She was like, "This is everything that you've written is like me, and that's what I think. Those are my, and you've captured that." And she was just so lovely. And I go, "Gosh, the fact that you're gonna give this to your daughter, that means the world."
Well, and I think it's an amazing, we can go into the whole choice to have kids or not, but the fact is that no matter what you create, whether it's a human or a book, you're still going to affect so many other people in the world, and what you do is important and it matters.
Yeah, yeah. I wrote those lines in particular for uh some younger girls that I had met, and I kept thinking of them as I was writing that in particular, that page, because they wanted to do something more creative and just like they wanted to do something that felt inspirational to them, but they kept fearing so much that something was wrong with them, and they were like the black sheep. And I'm like, gosh, like you are a thunderbolt, like go, like it
Yes.
saddens me to see so many bright, smart, intelligent, fun-loving girls extinguish that in themselves for nothing. It's not
Yeah.
serving them. Yes.
We dim ourselves so much for other people, and it's bullshit. Like, why do we do that to ourselves?
Well, school. It all started in school, Brooke.
That's right. Damn it. Trying to keep us down. Oh my gosh. I cannot even tell you what an honor it is to have you here today, Ash. Thank you so much for sharing your time, your story, and your wisdom. You are not only inspiring, but the kick in the ass that most of us need every once in a while. And you are the big sister that will sit us down and say, get your shit together because I love you and I want the best for you.
Oh, I hope so. I really do hope. That's what I needed. I'm an only child. I needed that big sister. I needed her to tell me to get the fuck up and do the thing that I need to go do and just not roll her eyes at me and encourage me instead. That's what this is. And I'm really grateful to you for trusting me to share that with your audience, and for anyone who's made it this far, for listening the whole way through. Thank you so very much to all of you, and to you especially, Brooke.
I am just so honored. And where can people find you online, bookstores, when they want to hear more? Because we all know they're going to want to hear more.
Yes. Well, the book is available in all major retailers, which is awesome. But if you Google the Middle Finger Project, you will see some interesting things online, one of which will be also my website.
That's hilarious.
Yep, you'll see my website there. You'll see the book everywhere. But if you go to the website, we have some other really fun bonuses around. We're launching something called the Quit Your Job Store, and lots of fun little quizzes and things that you can take that are going to help you get your shit together and figure out where your head's at.
I just love it. I feel like these words are so timely and so necessary for so many women and even men right now that are struggling with fear in one way or another, whether it's imposter syndrome or perfectionism or being afraid to actually accept money for our work. It hits all of us, and these words are so important. So go out and get the book. If you're an audiobook girl like me, I know that that's coming too, which I'm so excited about because sometimes we just need those books playing in the background, right? Like we just need those words. Thank you so much. If you have listened to this episode and you're like, hot damn, Brooke, I want more, and my sister, girlfriend, cousin, whatever needs this too, please share this episode. Also, I would so appreciate it if you would head on over to iTunes and leave a review. Reviews give my team and I feedback for what you want to hear more of and how we can serve you in the future. Have an amazing and adventurous day, and I can't wait to help move forward with your dreams as you share your amazing gift with the world. Thank you so much for listening to Business Straight Up. I'm so glad that you could join us today. Check out the show notes for this and all of the episodes at businessstraightuppodcast.com. And I can't wait to talk with you again. Have a great day.